I'm Karen Severance. Our interpreter tonight is Mihoko Imai. I'm going to just briefly introduce our guests while you can go ahead and flash away. Once I've finished introducing them, you need to stop using flash because we have film cameras in the back. Let me start with the director. Writer-director Junji Sakamoto won a slew of awards for his 1980 debut, Knockout. In 2000, he won the Japan Academy's Best Director Award, among many other prizes, for Face. He was nominated for the Golden Bear at the Berlin International Film Festival for KT in 2002, and was in competition at the Karlovy Vary International Film Festival with Out of This World in 2004. Other highlights of his career include Children of the Dark, A Chorus of Angels, Human Trust, and last year's hilarious The Projects, which memorably reunited him with Naomi Fujiyama, the star of Face, and we're very delighted to have him here tonight. Welcome. Joe Odagiri. You've probably never seen him before, so let me tell you a little bit. He's one of just a handful of Japanese actors who are actually international stars, and he is certainly the only Japanese actor who has acted in every major language except Italian. He shot to fame in Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Bright Future in 2003, and he's since amassed an extraordinary filmography, working primarily with indie auteurs rather than big studio directors, and creating a range of unforgettable characters. He's also had a prolific TV career and been active overseas since 2006. He won Best Supporting Actor at the Japan Academy Prizes for Blood and Bones in 2004 and Best Actor for Sway in 2006. He also won a Blue Ribbon Award for his first collaboration with Mr. Sakamoto, Out of This World, in 2004. He made his own feature directing debut with Looking for Cherry Blossoms, and he's also active as a musician and photographer, and we are so thrilled to finally have him here. Welcome. Okay, now I need to ask, please, that you stop using flash camera.
はい、ここからのフラッシュの使用はお控えいただきたいと思います。よろしくお願いいたします。
And I would like to begin with one question first. This is the first film in 48 years, that means since 1969, that has been a Cuba-Japan co-production. I'd just like to ask the director why he decided to make this story, and if that anniversary has any reason to do with it.
はい、ではまず1問目、1つ目の質問、キャレンさんから頂戴しました。監督への質問になると思いますが、今回、日本とキューバの合作ということで、実に48年ぶりとなるようですが、1969年が最後でしたね。ということですが、今このストーリーを語らなければならないと思ったのは、なぜか、なぜこの、48年という、ある種節目に近い年に、作ることにされたのか教えてください。
はい、この映画の題名でもあり、チェの名前でもあるそのエルネストっていう言葉ですね。当然ご存知の方いらっしゃると思いますけど、真剣という意味です。でもっと詳しい方に聞きますと、目的を決めた上での真剣という意味らしいですね。で今その政治的な立場にいようがいまいが、生活に埋没していようが、やはりその目的というものを決め、誰かに与えられるわけでもなく、その希望を持って、今こそ生きなきゃいけないんじゃないかなという、そういうメッセージもあります。で今質問いただいたものを全部語ろうとするとかなり大変な、とりあえずここまででしょう。
I think in answer to your question, I would say, but first start out by explaining, as all of you probably know this fact, that the title of this film, Ernesto, was also the name of Che, the actual name of Che Guevara as well. And also there's a special, there's a meaning to the word Ernesto. It is someone who, of course, is very earnest, but to those who know more about this word, they say that it describes someone who has a goal and is very adamant about attaining that goal. And so I think that's a very important message to put across, whether you are involved in any kind of political activity or whether you are just going out about your day-to-day life. I think it's very important for a person to have a goal, not something that is forced upon you by other entities or anyone else, but to have a goal of yourself and strive for that, and live with hope as you strive for that goal.
まあもうこの映画が始まるきっかけは、僕はそのフレディ・前村ウルタードっていう人を発見した。その人、ゲバラと共にボリビア戦争で亡くなった日本人の血を引いた若者がいたという、それを知った時から映画が始まっていて、まさにこのフレディの生き方が今言ったエルネストであり、そして今僕たちが失っている生き方ではないかと思います。
Going back to the genesis of the project, this really all began with my discovering that there was such a figure. There was a figure who was of Japanese descent. His name was Freddie Maimura Hikaru, as you saw in the film, and he was a figure that fought with Che Guevara. And the way that he lived his life was very much along the lines of his name. He was very earnest, hence Ernesto, his name. And I think the way that he lived his life, the principles that they had, are something that is missing from us, perhaps, I think.
彼を焼くにはキューバと合同で制作することしか選択肢はなかった。
And in order to depict this man's life, I have no other choice but to do a Cuban-Japanese co-production.
Thank you. All right. Please keep your questions to only one, and do not give us a perceive how you feel about the film.
会場から質問を募りたいと思いますが、一人一問とさせていただきます。映画に関するコメント等々はお控えいただき、質問のみとさせてください。
フランスのインターネットテレビの記者の及川と申します。端的にご質問いたします。坂本監督に伺いたいのですが、冒頭の場面にゲバラの広島訪問を持ってきたのと、最後にまた広島を使ったのはなぜかということと、できればもう一問ぐらいお伺いできればと思います。Merci beaucoup.
So this is a question for the director. Why did he decide to put the scenes at the very beginning of the film, put the Hiroshima scenes in at the very beginning of the film and also at the end of the film? Can our director talk about that?
広島にチェが、訪れ献花をしたという一つの事実、それから数年経ち、フレディ・前村がキューバを訪れ、学生生活に入ったすぐにキューバ危機、10月危機が起こり、この2つの出来事を構成を思いついた時に、僕はある種のこの映画の核に対する何らかの、定義ができると思いました。これが広島に来たゲバラと全く関係のないところでフレディの学生生活があるとすれば、単にエピソードをつないだだけにはなるんですけど、やっぱりキューバ危機の時にキューバにいた人の中で唯一チェだけが広島で感じた思いとか見たものが脳裏を横切ったと思うんですよ。それは僕はやりたかった。だからこの2つは単に組み合わせではなくて、一応構成上この中でつながった物語であるという思いです。
So first of all, of course, it was a fact that Che Guevara visited Hiroshima and he had offered flowers at the memorial. And there's also the fact, of course, that Freddie had arrived in Cuba to start his medical studies, and not long after that there was the Cuban Missile Crisis. I think I wanted to sort of juxtapose these two events, not as sporadic events, but I think through these two events, I could kind of pose a question to nuclear warfare. And I think what's also important is that the fact that probably during the Cuban Missile Crisis, probably Che was the only one who had his memories of having visited Hiroshima and what nuclear warfare could do. He had that at the back of his mind. And so I think it's very, so in that sense, I think these two plots come together. There's you can thread those two plots together, and that's a very important sort of thread in this film.
Next question. Yes, Marcus, and then Aaron.
To follow up on that question, it does make warfare with America, either directly or through proxy, the through line of the film. And when you were writing the and we're talking about very different kinds of wars.
Could you please ask a question?
And the question is, when you were writing the screenplay, did you try to complicate that? Did you try to make war with America more complicated than it is? It's quite simple.
So you're sorry. So you're talking about war with America directly and via a proxy war.
World War II and the proxy wars in South America are very different.
I see. Okay. And did he try to
play around with that? Include more about what these wars were about.
この戦争の描き方に対する監督のアプローチといいますか、脚本を書くにあたり意識されたのかどうかという質問なんですけれども、アメリカ、いわゆるそのなんというかアメリカとの戦争を考える上で、例えば第二次世界大戦のようにアメリカと直接戦争があったり、あるいは直接対決する形があったり、あるいはその冷戦構造の中でいわゆるプロクシーっていうその他国で展開される戦争、間接的な戦争があったりするわけですけれども、そういったさまざまな戦争の形といいますかを意識して、そういったこともテーマとして意識しながら考えられたのか、それを教えてください。
政治とか戦争とかを背景にその物語を考えますけど、結局はその中にいる一人の人間を描くということですから映画は、そしてその30 days とかああいうハリウッド映画の中でもキューバ危機クライシスに触れてますけど、今回は僕のその目線はあくまで何も知らされてなかったフレディたち学生の視線でキューバ危機の時代を描きたかったわけで、ですからその米ソのその、キューバの頭ごなしのその交渉とかそういうものに対して彼は怒りを見せるわけで、あくまでそのフレディたち名もなき学生の目線でキューバ危機をやりたかった。
Well, of course, you do have to think as you create your backdrop about the issues of war when you do create a story. But the approach that I took this time was just to tell the story of one individual. There are, of course, movies in Hollywood like 13 Days that do depict the Cuban crisis, but this time around, I wanted to depict a regular medical student who came to Cuba, who experienced the Cuba crisis, but was not in the know, let's say. They did not know anything, these medical students. So, as you can see in the storyline, that they were very angry that the negotiations during the Cuban Missile Crisis between America and the Soviet Union were made without their involvement at all, and that made them very angry. So again, I just wanted to keep a perspective to one individual student and his student life. Aaron, is your question for Mr. Odagi? Good.
Yes. すみません、オデギリさんのための質問なんですけども、先ほどカレンさんから紹介があったんですけど、オデギリさんの、ブレイクの一つのきっかけであった「明るい未来」という映画がございまして、不思議に映画、黒沢清監督の映画なんですけど、最後のショットはたくさんの若者はチェガバラの T シャツを着てうろついて、だから不思議に映画もあってこの映画もあって、オデギリさんのカリアは不思議にチェガバラとつながっているという感じがしますけれども、ですから簡単な質問なんですけども、オデギリさんにとっては自分とチェガバラとの関係はどう思われますでしょうか。
Could you also translate yourself and make it as short as possible?
Okay. So as was noted, one of the first big roles for Mr. Odagiri was the film Bright Future, which actually ends with a great long take of lots of young people walking around in Che Guevara t-shirts. So it seems like Mr. Odagiri has a strange relationship in his career between himself and Che Guevara. So I wanted to ask him about in his own mind, his own relationship to Che Guevara.
そう言われて今明るい未来のエンディングは確かにゲバラの T シャツだったなと思って、本当今思い出したんですけど、この映画を引き受けさせてもらって友達に次こういう作品やるんだよっていう話をしたら、ゲバラやんのって結構な数の人から言われてそのくらい僕がゲバラをやることがなんだろう、その友達からしたら不思議ではないことなのかもしれないし、ひげも生えて髪も汚いことが多いのでゲバラの格好が似合うと思う人も少なくはないのかもしれないですよね。僕はポスターも部屋に貼ってますし T シャツもいくつか持ってます。
I had not realized that the last scene of Bright Future included those T-shirts with Che Guevara on it. I just remembered that right now. Thank you for reminding me. When I decided to take up on this role, I remember telling my friends about the movie, and they would all go, "Are you playing Che Guevara?" And I think that my close circle of friends, I think, probably don't think it's such an outrageous idea of me playing Che Guevara. And also, one of the reasons might be because I usually grow a beard and have this unkempt kind of long hair. So maybe they thought it would be very befitting of me to play Che Guevara. I do actually have a Che Guevara poster on my room wall, and I also have a Che Guevara T-shirt as well.
Okay, Eiichiro.
フリーランスの徳本と申します。今日はありがとうございました。また監督にちょっと質問なんですが、この作品は実話を現実にあった物語をベースにした作品だと思うんですが、事実とフィクションを混ぜる場合、どこまで脚色が許されるのか、その辺はどういうふうにお考えなのかお尋ねできますが、例えば映画の中で広島でゲバラが過ちは繰り返しませんという言葉に対して主語をはっきりしろというシーンがあったんですけども、それは現実にあったエピソードなのか。
So this is a question for the director. Of course, this is based on a true story, but when you include some fiction in a true story, how do you strike that balance between story or between historical fact and fiction? How far do you go with your liberties? For example, there was a scene in the visit when the Cuban delegation came to Hiroshima, and Che Guevara says when he visits Hiroshima Peace Park, he questions the epitaph that is written on it, and he says, why doesn't it say who made the mistake? Now, was that historical fact that he asked that question?
劇映画だから嘘でいいんだっていう思いは全くなくて、一つは取材とか資料とかに向き合ってで結果分かった上でフィクションを盛り込むことはあります。それはその事実を再現することが目的ではなくて、そこの精神とか空気を伝えるためにはフィクションの方が伝わるときはフィクションにします。でも一応事実を知った上でやるという姿勢ではいます。それから冒頭のなぜ主語がないんだっていうのはあの時に随行した人の残したメモです、記者さんの。はい、でその他のチェのセリフも実は映画の中に短く言いますと1社だけだったんですね、記者クラブから取材に出たのは。他の人はチェなんか誰か知らないから行かなかった。そのたった一人の記者が亡くなったんですけど、遺品のメモでその当時の取材した模様を全部書き写してたんですよ。それを書き残してたんです。それを全部ご家族の方からいただいて、そのセリフを脚本の中に盛り込みました。
I would first start to answer your question by saying that just because it is a film, I don't think it's necessarily correct to take liberties to the full or fictionalize it. I do think it has to be grounded in reality. And so this time around, we did a lot of interviews, we did a lot of research. I do take certain liberties as long as I know what the facts are. So it is definitely fact-based, but sometimes you want to take liberties in order to depict better the atmosphere or the spirit of those historical facts. So I always base my script on, while taking liberties, I base my script on my research and facts. As for the Hiroshima visit, that line, that piece of dialogue that was included, actually did come from a journalist who had covered that event, who had been with Che Guevara on that day. And the same goes with the other pieces of dialogue that Che Guevara said. There was actually only one journalist or one outlet that went on that trip to cover Che Guevara because nobody really knew who he was back then. This certain journalist has already passed away, but he left. He had taken note of the entire event, and he had left those notes, and his family was kind enough to offer those notes to me. So those notes made their way into the film this time.
Another question for Mr. Oda-Piri, I hope? Yes, in the back.
坂本監督なんですけれども、この映画の話を初めてキューバに持ち込んだ時は向こうどういう反応だったでしょうか。
ごめんなさい、映画の話をキューバに
映画の話をキューバに持ってきたんですか。
キューバ側の反応っていうことですね。So so this is a question for the director. When they went to Cuba with the project, how was the reaction from the Cuban counterparts?
合作はもちろんできますという答えをいただいて、逆に僕が質問したんですね。日本人の監督が主役が日系人だとはいえ、あの時代を描くっていうのは違和感がありますかって聞いた時に全くないと。でキューバでも昨今あの時代に触れた映画がなくて、自分たちの映画でもあると思ってやりますと言っていただきました。
So when we went to Cuba with this project, the initial response was, yes, we can do a co-production. They immediately said this to us, and I actually answered to them with another question, which was, of course, the protagonist of the film is a Nikkei of Japanese descent, but do you feel any kind of uncomfortableness with us depicting this particular time, this particular decade? And to that, their reaction was, we don't have any qualms about that. And there's also the fact that there are no Cuban films or were no Cuban films that had depicted this decade. So they kindly took upon this project as kind of their own project as well in doing it. Yes, Marley?
Can you wait for the microphone?
小田切さんへの質問なんですけど、素晴らしい演技ありがとうございました。どのようにこのボリビア人の役とその語学の勉強ですとか、どのようにこの役を準備されましたか? So it's a question to the actor. I was wondering how he managed to portray a character of a completely different nationality in a foreign language and how he prepared for this role.
この時間まで会見のためにお酒を飲まないでおこうと思って真面目に答えるタイミングがここについにやってきました。確かにスペイン語はセリフを覚えるだけでも自分にはハードなことでしたが、もっとやっぱり重要視してたのが芝居をいかに、スペイン語で成立させるかということで、それに協力してくれたのは現地でこの映画で共演した3人4人ぐらいの共演者が本当に時間がある時に何時間でも付き合ってくれて、彼ら一人一人が思うフレディ像で何パターンかこうセリフを読んでもらったりする中から今度僕が思い描くフレディ像を説明して、この場合はじゃあどういう言い方になるとか、もうとにかくそのいろんなパターン、一つのセリフをいろんな俳優さんにいろんな感情でいろんな可能性を、広く見せてもらって、そこで監督と僕で、このシーンのフレディだったらじゃあこれに近いのかなっていう、そういう、とにかくその僕がスペイン語で芝居をするときにどこに例えばアクセントを置くことが正しいのかとか、どういう間になるかとか、そういうことをもう一切理解しないまま入ったので、向こうの俳優さんに大きく力を貸していただいたことが結果的にフレディ像を明確なものにしたと思ってます。本当にありがたかったですね。
So thank you for that question. I really wanted to drink some alcohol, but I refrained for this press conference, and I am so very glad that I did, because I am so ready to give a very serious answer to that wonderful question. So the way I approached the Spanish in this film was, it is hard enough to have to memorize your lines, but what was more important to me was to be able to act in Spanish. And so for that, I had to ask for the help of my co-stars. There were 3 or 4 very kind co-stars that would spend hours and hours with me trying to kind of mold this character. They each had their own vision of what my character Freddie would talk like in certain scenes. And they would read the dialogue for me as well. And so I would ask them questions like, okay, in this kind of situation, how would he say this certain line? And so there were many possibilities that I could see through the range that the range and the different kind of tones that they showed me. And with that, I discussed a lot with the director how to approach each scene and how to say each line in a given scene. When it comes to a foreign language or Spanish, there is the issue, of course, of where to stress a certain syllable or where to take your breath or the rhythm of the speech. So that was all very complicated, and I'm so very thankful to my co-stars, who I really did heavily rely on. Without their help, I would not have been able to kind of mold this character in as clearly as I did.
Tragically, we have run out of time. So, this film, Ernesto, is opening on October 6th at over 150 theaters across Japan, including Toho Cinemas in Shinjuku. So please help us get the word out on it, because a lot of people probably think that it's a really, really heavy political film, and you need to help get the word out that it isn't, in fact, heavy political film. Thanks again so much to our two guests tonight, Mr. Junji Sakamoto and Mr. Joe Odetsuki. One-year honorary membership from both of them, so we hope that next year they'll come back again so they can renew that.
I'm looking forward to what's in there.
So please, those of you who need to do the photo session, we're going to be doing that right here in the front. Once again, thank you very much for coming.